Good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Welcome to the Shotgun Thoughts broadcast on this auspicious day of conversive delights. There's people fucking with a lot of things right with COVID, the economy, and all that stuff. It's like they're getting away with it. People know what they did, but I mean, legally, some of these people are being held accountable. A very, very, very few of them. Most people are gonna slip through the cracks and are slipping through the cracks, like fucking Fauci. They might come back after him and shit, but it's like these people are gonna be. It won't even be important anymore, which will also make it harder for them to face accountability because nobody will give a shit anymore. So yeah, either way, the problem, like with the stuff that doctor was saying, what was his name? Paul McKinley or something? Either way, like the stuff that guy is saying is completely true. And this is what's happening where we're fighting like some radical fucking people. You know, like a lot of people died from COVID. Purposeful misinformation, disinformation. They purposely gave doctors orders not to do certain things that for no reason, there's no side effects. There was very little risk for people to get hurt. And they were just basically mandating that doctors do nothing for people. Okay. It's honestly like unremorseful. And then the problem is you got people even like Joe Rogan that like they'll make an excuse and act like it was like a lot of interests acting independently and that these things just happen, and it's like too many people are just like forgiving it in a sense of like, yeah, this is just what happens and people got scared and this and that, but it's like no, there is no excuse. It's like what happened in Nazi Germany. It's like there was no excuse for that to get to the point it got where people were basically doing the work of the Nazi party, where they were rounding up people to be gassed and they were selling out their neighbors and basically being a part of that machine because they all wanted to avoid persecution. So it was like, well, we'll help out, we'll give in, we'll be accomplices in this, and in doing that, we'll avoid the wrath of this fucking crazy party. But I don't know, man. It's like we're not avoiding that at all. Like we think this shit that these motherfuckers are gonna do it again. They are going to do this shit again. And just like that's the crazy thing with Andrew Tate too, is that like that guy Andrew Tate, I don't know, man. He's got his own stuff going on. It's hard to know with all the misinformation and disinformation out there. But a lot of what that guy says, most of what that guy says is true. And what he was saying about them, trying out their mass propaganda machine. And it's like they tried it on what should be the most resilient country in the world to propaganda, you know? We're the most informed, enlightened, advanced society. We have the freest information, we have access to almost everything possible. It's all mostly coming from this country. And where they were able to fool us and they were able to do this shit to most of the people. And it's like, you think that was a failed experiment? In no way did they fail. That experiment was a huge success. Even now that a lot of people know what happened with COVID, I bet tomorrow, if they said that there was another pandemic and they started to do a lot of the same shit again, a lot of people would just let it happen all over again. And they would start getting crazy and doing these fucking things that they're really trying to do. And who knows, that's what they're making it seem like is going to happen next time. We got this whole, yeah, there's going to be another big thing by 2025, and it's like, yeah, I think it's going to happen before that, because unless they're going to, the same way they kind of forced Trump out, maybe they'll do that again where they have a Republican in, and then they'll just create another crisis and basically force the Republican one way or the other to have to do what they want, push like a vaccine through that starts to turn people into frogs and shit, you know? It's like, I know so. I know that this is what they're gonna do, man. I've been right about this stuff from the start. From the start. That this was all planned all along. And that's where they want to throw people under the bus for being like anti-vaccine, anti-vaxxers and stuff. It's like people who are against climate change. They lump all those people into one thing. And it's like, no, those people disagree with the information that you're saying. It's not that they're against vaccines, they're against this vaccine. They're against you telling me that global warming and climate change are interchangeable and they're the same thing. They're not. There's a reason why they call it climate change now, and they don't call it global warming. Is because the scientific basis for global warming is minuscule and there's nothing accounting for it. It's tiny what we contribute to global warming. So it's climate change because guess what? Climate change is real. And then they can attach everything bullshit they made up about global warming to a real thing like climate change. And they're doing this with like everything. I forget the name for it, but they're doing this with like everything. They're just like taking a word that actually means something but then just diluting it to the point where all you think and associate it with is some other word that at some point in time was like discredited for what it stood for on their end. Oh man, fucking wild, fucking wild. I'm just tired of like people like acting like the liberals had a reason to do what they did and justify it. It's like, nah, man, these people need to be held accountable in all degrees. There's nobody who should be making excuses for them. It's just all these people who, I mean, Joe Rogan, I love him to death, but it's like he's got to save face because they probably will come after him, even though it doesn't seem like he's worried about that. It did seem like it because you can go back and you know it took him a long time to get on the COVID bandwagon, and he still even saved face. He wouldn't really give his full on that, and I guess he's got a show and a, a face to maintain. But that's the problem is just that people are not fucking being honest about things because they want to maintain. They want to maintain. They don't want to be like, oh yeah, Joe Rogan's the one that's starting an uprising by telling everybody that the election was rigged and January 6th was basically fully fucking handled by George Soros to make it seem like there was a riot when everybody there was peacefully protesting and it was an amazing spontaneous movement that would have changed a lot of things but didn't because they purposely fucking sabotaged it like true Marxist doctrine dictates. It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. And this is the shit that like again, Joe Rogan, where it's like they won't call it for what it is when it's like, yo, that's what happened, man. That's what happened. They'll say all this other shit, but I don't know, that we won't fucking anyway. Taking too much out on Mr. Rogan. God bless him. if there's any improvements I can make, anything that might bother you, you know, please let me know. I'm trying to make gradual improvements, things that I notice. I don't have the most time in the world. I could always have some more. I'm sure most of us would say the same. So anyway, we'd like to get some improvements going. So if you have anything to add, that would be great. I appreciate it, good or bad, regardless. Thank you for your time listening here today. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.